Hi everyone, I'm Michael Short. This is Let's Go Outdoors.
Let's go outdoors where the waters run clear and cold. Mother Nature's world is better than gold. So much to see, so much to do. Let's go outdoors, me and you. Let's go outdoors.
Let's Go Outdoors with Michael Short. Supported by the Alberta Conservation Association, conserving Alberta's wild side.
Hi everyone and welcome to Let's Go Outdoors. I'm Michael Short. Coming up, we head out duck hunting with a father and son team and learn the art of duck calling from a Canadian champion. For most of us, camping is strictly a summertime activity, but as you will discover, our Alma Medvedovic has decided to pitch her tent in a snowbank. We tag along with a Fish and Wildlife officer and respond to a call which dramatically illustrates what can happen between wildlife and barbed wire fences. Brad Fenson from the Alberta Fish and Game Association will be along with a few tips on ice fishing. Welcome to the first episode of Let's Go Outdoors. Today we're coming to you from the Wild Alberta Gallery located at the Royal Alberta Museum. This is a fitting location as it represents our province's diverse wildlife and habitat, which is a big part of our program. We want to share with you our love of the outdoors, the wild places, the people who work hard to keep it so, and some of the adventures and experiences our Let's Go Outdoors crew has had covering stories all across this great province. And to get us started, we head into the Drumheller area for a lesson on talking to the ducks.
We're duck hunting east of Drumheller, around Dallam here, on a little pothole. I've always liked to watch like hunting videos and stuff, and especially waterfowl videos. And I'd see all these guys calling, have the calls around their neck, and that interested me. And my dad had a few calls, and so I borrowed some of his calls one day and just started, and kind of grew on from there. I bought my own duck calls and just kept practicing every day. I found a competition that I wanted to call in, and so I decided I went and signed up, and I did it. I became Western Canadian duck calling champion. Oh, I tried to practice every day. It's hard to do, and I'd practice probably for about half an hour at a time, sometimes more, sometimes less. I'd drive my parents crazy doing it. They wouldn't like it very much. They'd say, go out to the park and do it. But yeah, I did it. Every time we went out camping or whatever, I'd take my duck calls and just in the evening or whatever, sit around and just call. I guess I eventually got pretty good at it. Well, this is what I'd use if I saw some ducks in the distance flying by. This is what I'd use. Wow!
Starting around the age of 16, my father saw that I showed a little bit of interest in the outdoors. He wasn't a hunter at the time, but he developed that passion, and I followed along with him. And when Braden turned, I think around the age of 5, I got back into hunting, and Braden came along with me on several just little hunts, upland game and a few waterfowl hunts. I registered Braden with the Trap Club in Calgary, and Braden became quite an avid trap shooter for a while, and also started to develop the hunting skills and took the Alberta Hunter Education course. That sort of just led to where we are today. Wrong duck. Braden and I have become just the best of friends. Also, I have a daughter that comes along with us on some hunts and some fishing, and it really is a bonding factor with the family. Being a teacher over the years, I've seen students go by the wayside because of family relationships, and this to me is an absolute bonding part of our family. Great day.
Yeah.
So we'll head home and have a great supper and
Come back out tomorrow, hopefully.
Coming up, a dramatic tale of what can happen when wildlife tangles with barbed wire. Magnificent desolation, to coin a phrase from a famous astronaut, Buzz Aldrin. That's probably the best way to describe this incredible surrounding up here in northeastern Alberta. We're on the Athabasca Dunes, one of only 2 active dunes to be found in Alberta, and we're going to go on a journey to discover this very special ecological reserve.
Well, we are in an ecological reserve, and so what that means is that these sand dunes are special, they're protected, and you literally have to walk into these dunes to enjoy them. It'll take you about an hour and 20 minutes to get across the entire length of the sand dunes, and it's remarkable what you can see. There's lakes on the surrounding the sand dunes that people can go and they can jump in and swim, and it's just beautiful.
If there are any illusions about these sand dunes being small, this kind of dispels it. I mean, we're looking at a pretty good slope and a good 20 feet down to the bottom there.
Yeah, that's right. It's literally like a wall of sand, and this wall of sand is slowly swallowing the jack pine forest up, approximately about 1.5 meters per year. One could say that that's been swallowed up by the dunes, right?
Yeah.
Because that used to be a birch tree.
So we're looking at the top end of a birch.
Pretty amazing.
It is high ground, and you can really see the landscape. It's a pretty neat vantage point.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful view. You can really get a good picture of the dunes itself. You can see for miles and miles of sand. The sand goes in the northern direction there for about 7.5 kilometers.
Well, we got a lot of ground to cover, so why don't we start walking?
Sure. As you can see today, we've picked a beautiful day to be here, but it's hot. I'm sure you can feel that heat.
Absolutely.
And as a family, and you want to take care of your family, make sure that you have plenty of water when you're up here to hydrate your family, and also be aware of the weather, because the weather can sneak up on you up here. But you do have excellent views, and you can see those thunderclouds coming in, and you can adjust accordingly.
There are designated campsites in the area just outside the ecological reserve?
That's right, yeah. It's referred to as the Richardson Backcountry, and there are at least over a dozen campsites that you can attend. What it does offer is pristine backcountry experience.
Big game aerial surveys, bull trout studies, wildlife and habitat studies. The list is long when it comes to the work being carried out by the Alberta Conservation Association. And to provide us with some insight into the work that's been quietly carried out by this conservation organization, we welcome Todd Zimmerling, President and CEO. Todd, I guess first of all, what was the driving force to form the Alberta Conservation Association in the first place?
The Alberta Conservation Association was formed back in 1997. And at that time, there was the Buck for Wildlife program, where money came off everybody's hunting or fishing license and went into a pot that was being used by the provincial government. Now, I wasn't around in 1997 in this position, so I don't know all the details, but my understanding is basically that was a time when there was a lot of cutbacks occurring within government, and hunters and anglers were concerned that that pot of money that was meant for specific work in fish and wildlife was going to be sucked back into general revenues. And my understanding is that's why ACA was formed in the first place. They decided, let's set up an independent, non-government organization that could use those funds and work towards conservation in Alberta.
Now that's really critical, the fact that you are a non-government organization. I think there's still folks out there that think the ACA is connected to government.
Well, we have a connection in that we work very closely with Sustainable Resource Development. So we work with their biologists. We sit down with them every year to determine priority areas we should be working on. But yeah, we're non-government. We're a not-for-profit, non-government organization.
How do you get funded to do the type of work that you guys go out and do every year?
Well, roughly about $10 million a year comes to ACA through a levy that is placed on every hunting and fishing license that's sold in the province. So when you buy your white-tailed deer license, a portion of that money actually comes directly back to ACA. It doesn't flow through government hands at all. It comes directly to us. Then on top of that, we usually raise somewhere between $4 and $6 million in non-levy funds. So those will be coming from corporate donations, individual donations, or in some cases from grants that are coming from federal agencies as well.
Thanks very much, Todd. We're going to continue our conversation in just a little bit, but right now we head out on the road south of the Rocky Mountain House area, where we get a rare look at what can happen when wildlife and barbed wire meet. As we head out on the road with Fish and Wildlife Officer Mark Hoskin, I should tell you that what you're about to see may be difficult to watch.
A local resident here gave our RAP line a call and phoned to say that calf moose was found on his property stuck in a fence, and we're going to go see if we can get the calf out of the fence.
Now, approaching any wild animal is a dangerous proposition, but add to the fact this baby moose is trapped and its mother is close by means extra measures are needed, so Mark fires his shotgun loaded with a bear banger.
Oh, there she is. Get!
So what do you think of her leg?
Yeah. It's not doing good. Let's just give her a sec.
Encounters between barbed wire fences and wild animals happens more than you might expect. Having landowners replace the top and bottom strand of their fences with a smooth wire may be just one way to help prevent incidents like this from happening.
I've seen deer and moose survive with one dislocated leg, right?
Right.
And as long as they can dig through the snow and get feed, they'll survive. Right? Just like us, they adapt. Well, I appreciate the call. And again, thanks for your help. And
it's good.
Sorry about your fence.
No, I'll look after that. That's minor. I'm just glad the calf's fine.
Now, coming up on a future program, we will see how the Alberta Fish and Game Association, along with the ACA, are replacing barbed wire in southern Alberta so that antelope have improved access to their traditional travel corridors. Coming up, Brad Fenson will have some tips on ice fishing.
This is where I work, and this is one of my favorite tools.
Anglers are certainly aware of the importance of clean water, and a good fishery is often a sign of a healthy water system. Robert Boyce is not only a passionate angler, but is also a biologist with Devon Energy. He spends a lot of his time monitoring the quality of the watershed along the eastern slopes.
As more information is collected and we have a better understanding of the ecosystems and the landscape down in this area, every action we do, every time we wish to do something new or go in and do maintenance on an existing piece of infrastructure, the goal is to make it better than it was yesterday. Ultimately, we'd like to put it back to the way that it was before we arrived, as close to that as we can. But this work is being done with good thought and good purpose in mind. So there's absolutely no reason to be shy when it comes to answering any of these questions. I've never raised an issue within Devon and felt that anyone had ever taken anything other than the high road, which is one of the reasons I work there. One of Devon's values is always do the right thing, regardless of who's looking. That makes it easy when that's your value. Let's go catch a fish.
Hi, I'm Brad Fenson with the Alberta Fish and Game Association. And if you live in a part of the country where you get 5 or 6 months of winter, you better find something that you enjoy outdoors, and ice fishing is one of my passions. Late in the season, late winter, we get some incredible sunny days in Alberta, and it's a great way to spend a day out on a favorite or local lake trying to catch some fish. Now, of course, in Alberta, there's lots of different species, but the one thing I'll say that'll give you a heads up on any type of fishing is to use the right gear. Here I've got a simple rod, reel, and I can't really show you my favorite whitefish hook because the Old Timers Fishing Club would get mad at me. But it's really important to have the right gear with you. With our barbless rules nowadays, if you have any slack in your line, if your line goes slack at all, that hook just falls out of the fish's mouth. So it's really important to always keep tension. The best way to do that is to use a rod. It works like a shock absorber, and it'll always keep that line tight just by lifting it or dropping it as the fish pulls. And of course, if you ever do manage to catch that real big one, a good drag system is always worth its weight in fishing line. Again, you'll be able to keep that tension on your line all the time. The other thing you want to do is really pay attention to the types of line you use in the winter. This is a specific ice line that's formulated to stay supple even in cold weather. And look at the stretch that's in that line. I mean, you can take a foot of line and stretch it out to probably 13 or 14 inches. Again, that's going to help you land fish. That works like a shock absorber. Make some time to take out a friend or some kids or some locals and go out ice fishing. It's a great way to spend a day in the winter.
Coming up, if you are a fair weather camper, you may not want to see this next story. It's bound to give you the chills. No question, winters here in Alberta can be, well, long and cold. For some, it's time to hibernate till April. But for others, like our Alma Medvedevic, there is nothing like embracing the elements and heading out for a camping trip, even in the snow.
Well, here I am at the parking lot slipping my size 8.5 feet into a snowshoe as I prepare for my wild weekend with Winter. Let's go meet the group. That's Dave, he's our team leader. He's done this sort of thing many times before. And that's Ian, who wisely packed a big lunch for the trip in, and Yuki, his wife.
So we're winter camping, and I've never done this before. Can you promise me that we will not freeze?
I promise you we won't freeze. We have the best gear, we have good people with us, and we're not that far from the car.
Off we go. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Michael is also coming along to see for himself if this city girl can cut it in the backwoods. It wasn't long before we hit our first downhill, and while some took it cautiously, I had a better idea. Luckily, the rest of the route is pretty much flat as we venture across a frozen lake. Long Lake, to be precise.
A big hump over there is a beaver house.
Really?
Yeah, and as we get closer, sometimes you have to stay a little bit away from them because the beavers will keep the ice a little bit thinner.
How often do you go winter camping?
I try to get out at least 2 or 3 times a month. I love the winter. I love winter camping.
Whoa, looks like I'm beating you. Where are we setting up camp?
We're just going to go over by the base of that large pine tree there. There's a bit of a hill. We'll put the tents up on top of the hill.
And get warm and snuggled up.
Warm and snuggled up and wait for the coyotes to start howling.
Dave also told me that it's warmer if you get up into the trees and out of the flow of cold air, traveling through the valleys and down the lake.
Here's our spot for the cook shelter, and you're standing on the prime tent site right there.
I'm ready to shovel.
Well, the base is shoveled out. Time to set up the tent. Today's tents are amazingly quick to set up, even in the snow, and especially when you have a little help from your friends. Look at me now, bare hands in the snow. I guess this city girl's not such a softie after all.
And again, you don't need the bug net in the way.
Bugs! There's no bugs in winter. I didn't think of that. That could be the best part about winter camping.
You're home for the night.
Nice and cozy.
Okay, there's a good looking log right there. Want to be careful not to cut any live trees.
I learned that for winter camping, a lightweight saw is a must-have.
That was quick.
Oh yeah, it cuts very nicely. That'll burn really nicely.
So is this what we found sufficient enough, or should we continue and...
This would last about 10 minutes.
Oh,
We're going to have the fire going for 7 hours.
that's right. Jeez. 10 minutes. We've got the wood for a fire. We're taking it back to our campsite. We're gonna cut it up and then hopefully it'll burn.
Wow, that green coat I borrowed from Dave makes me look as big as a house. And here I am making drinking water. We'll also use some of this later for cooking, and everyone's favorite, doing the dishes. Meanwhile, Dave continues with his logging operation.
You can never have too much firewood.
I boiled this water, so now I'm gonna try it and see how good it tastes. So good.
So, Elma, talk a little bit about that trek we came across, I guess about 2 kilometers on a frozen lake, pulling the sled. That's quite an interesting mode of transportation on snowshoes.
I've been snowshoeing before, but on a frozen lake, I was a little bit weary about it. And like we were talking about earlier, it's really interesting how peaceful you can feel and how much serenity you can feel just walking there on a frozen lake.
Dinner is served. Michael pre-made the meat sauce at home using deer meat and a little red wine to give it a kick. It's amazing how good food tastes in the outdoors. This is my favorite part of camping, the campfire. And one thing that goes really well with a warm fire is sneaking in a little chocolate.
The fire was amazing. It made me feel like I was, I don't know, in the middle of summertime because it was so warm. My first day was really fun. I am tuckered. I'm gonna call it a night. Hopefully I'll be nice and warm in the morning and I'll see you all in the morning.
It's morning! And I made it through the night. I slept very comfortably, very cozy in my lovely warm sleeping bag. The thermo mattress under my sleeping bag kept me super warm. The thing that I'm most proud of was using the bathroom in the middle of the night because I put my little headlamp on and I went out into the bushes all by myself in the middle of the night and I did my business. Good morning, fellow campers.
Good morning.
How did you sleep?
Awesome.
Oh, did you hear the coyote?
I heard some coyotes, yeah.
I know, that's crazy.
That's the first time I heard them out while camping. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about some of the essentials for winter campings?
There's certainly a lot of equipment that you have to have. And the first time I ever went winter camping, I didn't take a shovel, which is a big mistake. You have to have a shovel. If you're going to have a fire, it's nice to take a small saw or an axe. And then your personal equipment, the clothing that you take, it's really essential that you try to have something that you just don't get cold.
And how do we avoid hypothermia? How do we deal with that when that happens?
That's a really important question in the winter because hypothermia, they call it the silent killer, right? Because it just kind of sneaks up on you and you don't even know you're becoming hypothermic. If you see another person and they're starting to make bad decisions, starting to even slur their words or their thinking seems a little bit muddled, you might ask them if they're cold, and if they are, get them warmed up really quickly.
Snow and being in the minuses doesn't have to mean you have to stay inside and watch movies and be afraid of going outdoors.
Exactly, exactly. I love getting out in the winter.
I like that I embraced it. I really enjoyed it. And I stayed warm the entire time. Winter camping is all about making memories, and that's just what we did. We weathered the snow, the cold, and made some pretty new friends. And remember Dave's famous words, when it comes to winter camping, you can never have too much firewood.
Once again, a pleasure to welcome back President and CEO of the Alberta Conservation Association, Todd Zimmerling. Todd, how important is it for not only the Alberta Conservation Association, but all your other conservation groups to work with industry? I mean, obviously, that's a big driver in Alberta. We can't ignore it. But the relationship, again, that you've started to build with some of the big players in this province, something not to be taken lightly.
Obviously, there's several approaches to be taken with industry. Some groups will look at it and say they don't want to work with industry because they feel that industry is the one that's causing the problem, so they walk away from it. Our approach has been to deal with industry. We found a lot of industry players who are very concerned about conservation issues. They want to do what they can. So we've definitely embraced working with industry. Certainly, we have to keep a close eye on who we're working with and what we're doing with them. And we're not looking to greenwash anybody. We're wanting to make sure that the companies we're working with are sincere in their concern over conservation issues. And yeah, we've got some really great corporate partners we work with, and they're supplying literally millions of dollars a year to conservation in Alberta. And without those types of partnerships, we would be millions of dollars short on conservation.
Do you wish there was a mechanism in place that allowed the non-angler, the non-hunter to be involved, to understand what it is you're doing? Because ultimately, what's good for a hunting and angling community is good for all Albertans. Definitely, and we are seeing many more people who aren't hunters or anglers contact us and be quite interested in the work that we're doing and donating to the work that we're doing. So that message is certainly getting out there, but something we have to get out there much more, that hunters and anglers are conservationists. The work that we're doing as hunters and anglers is benefiting all Albertans. Hunters and anglers put more money into conservation in the province than any other group. And yes, hunters and anglers are consumptive users of the resource, so we may very well be taking a deer or a goose or a fish to eat at home. But by the same token, we're also doing a lot for the habitat to make more and more of those species, ensure more and more of those species can survive within the province. So, but I think that message is getting out there. Member groups are working to get that message out there, and we are certainly seeing more and more non-hunters and anglers contact us and want to be involved. Todd, thanks so much for coming in and sharing a great deal of information about the Alberta Conservation Association. Thank you. If you would like to catch previous stories featured on Let's Go Outdoors, then track down our website at letsgooutdoors.ca. Remember, the outdoors is here for all of us to enjoy. If you see someone taking away from that enjoyment, call the Report a Poacher line. Till next time, I'm Michael Short. Let's go outdoors.
I know where I want to be. Outside, wild and free. Let's go outdoors. Let's go outdoors. You and me. Let's go outdoors where the waters run clear and cold. Mother Nature's world is better than gold. So much to see, so much to do.